Good morning, everyone. It's Josh here from Racing to Profit, obviously. I hope you're well. I haven't recorded a video for a while, I should say, so thought it might be useful, or something a bit different at least, rather than me writing uh, plenty of words, if I did a quick run through of today's three tips. So let's jump straight to it. Gossamer Wings for Aidan O'Brien, who I thought was a couple of points too big. His yard is absolutely flying at the moment. I was driven initially by these kind of trainer form stats. You can see there in the last 14 days he's 1752, 29 in total of won or placed. You can see the percentages there. They're performing 44% above market expectations, which is always a good sign for Aidan O'Brien, given that he does have plenty of short-priced horses, obviously. So the yard is absolutely flying. We saw that yesterday with a kind of 14-1 winner at the track, and this one has a similar kind of profile in terms of the setup, because I think and hope this may have been the plan. If I just jump back to looking at her form in what are the best race cards in the industry, in GG's, I'm a bit biased, but they are. uh, she ran a very, very close second in the Queen Mary in a Group 2, which is some of, if not the best bit of form in this race, especially over this distance. The horse that beat her that day has since gone very close in a Group 1 in France behind Pretty Pollyanna, and that form is certainly very good. She then ran at Newmarket, possibly when the yard was just hitting or starting to hit a bit of their wobble. Plenty of the horses had a bit of illness, and plenty of them at that time were running a bit below expectations. But in any case, this is a very quick filly. I'm not sure 6 furlongs at Newmarket on the July course suited necessarily, but in any case, both those two races, both the Queen Mary have produced plenty of winners since and placed horses, and so has that Newmarket race. It actually was pretty deep, I think, for a Group 2. And yeah, the winners, Frank the Form, and a few others actually behind her and in front of her have since run very well also. She then had 43 days off, which is a bit similar to the winner yesterday that they had at a big price. And if you watch that Curragh race back, I know it's stepping up from a listed, but she was given a very quiet ride, I thought, held up out the back. Not necessarily in a race run at a true gallop. The winner certainly got first run, but Donica wasn't very hard on her at all. Gave her a bit of attack, but to my eyes, he was the last jockey to move, and I wonder if he was under instructions not to go too hard on her. I could be completely wrong, but she returns 20 days later here, and there's every chance that this has been a little bit of a plan. Clearly, the market expected her to go well there, and maybe she's just hit a dip or hasn't progressed since Ascot. But at 8-1 in this lineup, I was willing to give her a chance. Ryan Moore jumps back on. As we've seen, the yard is flying. If I just jump to horse race base, she's only one of 2 horses in this race to have placed in a Grade 2, or Group 2, sorry. And you would think a repeat of that Royal Ascot run would see her outrun these odds of 8-1 in my book. I think the stalls, let me just check. Yeah, the stalls on the straight course today are down the centre. And it will be no bad thing that she'll be on the far side of that group. The near side looks to have been the worst place to be, certainly on the first couple of days to my eyes, at Doncaster. And she should be able to get a bit of cover from plenty of pace in this race, but race handily enough and actually make a challenge on the far side, which should be ideal, hopefully. So yeah, she's got some of the best form in this race. The trainer's on fire. Ryan Moore jumps back on. She's clearly got a bit to find with some of the principles in here, but I thought she had every chance of stepping forward from that Curragh run and hopefully reversing form with the Jesse Harrington horse that won that day, who has to carry a penalty, as do a few of these in here. I thought Ramble in the Jungle was short enough Clearly, he did bolt up in a Group 3 the last day, but is going to have to step forward up into this Group 2. And on that basis, I think after 44 days off, that makes any horse at 2-1 seem short enough to my eyes. The likes of Legends of War have to prove that he is a 5 furlong horse, and 5 furlongs will suit. They clearly thought he was a 6 furlong horse, otherwise they wouldn't have run him at that distance. And he's yet to win a group race, although did place at York, as we can see last time. Maybe they will go quick enough for him, and this might see about improvement, we shall see. But in any case, I thought Gossamer Wings, for everything that I've just said, looked a couple of points too big. You can see the pace here. Watson's like to get on with it. Hannon's possibly. Little Kim will be up there. The Peckham horse possibly. I should think Ryan Moore won't ride her as cold as they did the last day. Hopefully keeps her a bit close to the pace. She's an absolute massive filly. Looks a giant of a horse, and hopefully this track and this very, very long straight will suit. So that's the first one today. Clearly, nearly every horse, well, every horse in this race is in some kind of form. But like I said, a repeat of that Ascot run and getting back to that kind of form would see her go very, very close here for me. And there's reasons to think, as discussed, why she might. So that's that one. I'll stick on the other one from Doncaster in the 6.5 furlong handicap here. My initial weigh-in was clicking on the GG's Instant Expert, where at a glance, with all these different filters and everything else, I can get a feel for the race and horses that have so far ran in conditions and how they've performed against them. You can see there why I was possibly drawn in by Amazor and taking a quick look. He's a proven Class 2 performer. He's won at the track, and actually when I went to have a look back at him, he's won, well, he won this very race last year. His mark kind of hovers around kind of 97 to 99. I don't think that will be a problem for him. That red 14 put me off a little bit, but actually Mohammed's had 10 runners the last 14 days, 4 have placed. I'm not too concerned overall about his form. I think it's okay. What I did like was the fact that if I just click on his profile in horse race base, as you can see here, if I just click handicaps and filter this out, you can see there at Doncaster, that's the win in this race last year. I think good through to good to soft are his conditions. He doesn't like good to firm at all, and soft is certainly a bit of a question. James Doyle is 2 from 2 on him, which also caught my eye, and the last time he rode the horse was when winning this race last year. You can see from the stats here, this is his level. Class 2 is kind of worth less than 20,000. Clearly any money, if he goes into 6-1 or shorter, you can see how successful he is there. What's that, 5? He's 6 from 10, 6 places when he's fairly well fancied in the market. So hopefully a bit of money comes. The field size looks ideal. We know the course and distance suits. And importantly, earlier in his career, he did run quite well after a short break, but a lot of his better form has been after a bit of a rest. And in that context, and in the context of the horse, the 55-day break is actually a positive. If I look back here, you know, there's various excuses, I think, for some of these runs. He won in January. That Newcastle race wasn't too bad, but maybe it was hot enough. That the ground, very deep ground at Haydock, may have been an excuse for that run. Newbury, I'm going to blame the trip and the fast going and the fact that he was returning possibly quicker than ideal. He came back to Newcastle there and ran a decent race. And actually that Newbury run 55 days ago was decent enough. He was only beaten 3 lengths, but a couple of horses have come out and won since. A few others have placed, including, well, yeah, and he wasn't beaten far there. But again, I think the ground and possibly how that race was run and set up wasn't ideal. He can track the pace here. I'm not 100% sure where it will come from. Lake Volta will probably be aggressive. Shared Equity is usually up there. Amazor can track it, so I don't think there will be an excuse here for him. If he can get some cover and get settled, I would like to think, given he won this race last year, this must have been the plan. The ground is perfect for him. I don't think there's an excuse there. And I thought he looked the most interesting in this race. We've got an Atzini horse here that qualifies against my stats. Well, Atzini at this meeting is the general weigh-in. I'm not a big fan necessarily of backing them all, and Plenty are short enough. This one probably might have a decent chance and maybe worth a saver, but I didn't think he was necessarily overpriced, given this is his first run in a Class 2, really. He has to step up in class. Yes, he won well, but that was a Fosslas Class 3. So he steps up in class and he has been whacked in the handicap, but he could be ultra progressive. But I didn't think his price was necessarily overpriced. In any case, I could make a case for Amazor, and I thought kind of 13 to 2, 7 to 1 might be a kind of 1.5, 2 points too big, possibly. Hopefully, he's well backed. Like I said, this must have been a plan. There's quite a few there's quite a few horses in here that don't look in the best of form necessarily, and I thought he had every chance of going close. And hopefully, fingers crossed, the Doiler can make it 3 from 3 on him. You can see here he's riding very, very well in recent days, and well, in general, has been riding well all season. So that's that one. Where else am I going next? The final tip was at Sandown, wasn't it, in the 5 o'clock? I'll rattle through this as I tick through to 11 minutes. What do I like about this one? I'll actually use Mark's trainer and jockey stats below in the comments as a weigh-in. So thanks for those. That little trial he's been doing has started very well. I like the fact that Ellsworth is in cracking form. 6 from 18, 7 places the last 30 days, 3 from 7, 4 places the last 14. He's booked Mosse. Now, he's always booked a decent jockey for this filly, which caught the eye also. But if I just click on the jockey stats, trainer and jockey, you can see that they've teamed up 10 times in total, and he's won half of them. So I think that jockey booking may be significant, especially given Atzini, Moore, who have ridden the filly on the last 3 starts, are at Doncaster. The break, I think, is interesting. Clearly, fitness is a question, but if I look back through here, from the 1st of May, she had, as I look at my stats, about 6 runs in 9 weeks. And it wouldn't surprise me if she was a bit knackered come the last of those 2, given she's a 3-year-old. So the break may have done her actually the world of good. You can see here, yeah, the trainer snippets. He does well. If he wants to ready one after a break, he can. What else did I like? He's got some decent form. If I go back to Goodwood, earlier in the season, I should say. No, where am I looking? Last year, sorry, as a 2-year-old, she had some decent form in kind of a Class 2 there. And she's run well this season. She run well enough, but still looked experienced at Lingfield. Sandown, she did very well there. She was sat in the right place, but that race has produced plenty of horses that have gone on and run well since. Nothing outstanding, mainly at kind of Class 3 through to 5 level, but at least she beat horses that have since come out and kind of franked the form. I'm not sure 8 furlongs is her trip. In any case, she was stuck out wide in that race, didn't get any cover and was a bit too keen, but again, wasn't exactly beaten far and was kind of in there pitching. That Sandown race, again, she was on the wing there and didn't get any cover. It looked a bit awkward, and I do just wonder if, that lack of cover, if she over-raced and all of those runs in that short space of time just caught up with her. That is possibly a valid excuse. So there's the trainer form, the trainer and jockey, the fact this horse, when last seen in possibly kind of ideal conditions, was kind of winning and running well. I like the fact she's got form over course and distance at Sandown, and the fact she's had the break. She's very well bred. Baidu Bari out of Bathsheba, related to a few other very, very good horses. And you would like to think in time she might be able to get some black type. She drops in class here, which I like from the last 2 runs, Class 3 back into a Class 4. And the pace intrigued me. There isn't much of it on, and she normally races prominently. Hopefully she's not too lit up after this break, and Mosse may be able to get some cover behind the Beckett horse. In any case, I think she will be well positioned and in the right spot, and I don't think there will be any excuses. Every other horse in here equally had as many questions for me. The Beckett horse has to step up on recent form. The Clive Cox horse has had a break again, has to step up out of form when last seen. The same with the Walker horse. The Varian horse could be anything. That's the one interesting horse in the race that makes handicap debut. Didn't do really anything special. Well, they weren't overly special kind of auction maidens, and has had 315 days off, so it kind of was 3-1, 11-4. He's on the drift a little bit, or she's on the drift a little bit. I was happy to take that favourite on at that price. Henry Candy horse is interesting because he's in flying form, and she won very well last time. But again, she steps up in class, has gone up £7. That wasn't an overly strong race necessarily, and it was on the all-weather, so she's got a few things to prove. But overall, you can see here, if I click on the handicap, you can see Crafty Madam stands out okay, but there's only 2 here that have won at the track, and only one of, well, she's only one of 3 that, of course, experience. So I thought, all in all, at kind of 13-2 or so, she was worth a stab here, given that she's clearly a very nice horse, and I think they think a lot of her, and given her course form and the jockey booking. I would be surprised if she's not here to run a race and isn't fully wound up, but there's only one way to find out, and I've taken the chance and paid the price to see if that is the case. So that is those 3. 16, 17 minutes as I tick around, but hopefully you've taken something from all of those. All of those 3 horses today combine all the kinds of things I've been trying harder to look at. Trainers in form, possibly class drops, the horses having a decent level form and hot form, running in races that have produced subsequent winners, etc. And reasons for why they may improve today. Obviously, in the general context, I think there are a few points too big. So that's that. Hopefully you found that video of some interest. And until the next time, this is Josh saying thanks for watching, best of luck, and I'll see you soon.